You have to understand that I hate myself so much for feeling this way. I really don't want to feel the way I feel. Hey everyone, welcome back to ABTG. We're gonna talk about Black Widow. Okay. The plot, without spoiling too much, of Black Widow is pretty straightforward, I guess, but also simultaneously a bit convoluted. Basically, the events of Black Widow pick up right after the end of Captain America's Civil War. We are dealing with the consequences of the Sokovia Accords, and a few of the Avengers have run off all in their separate directions. They've become fugitives and criminals. Felons. And so we're following Black Widow as she reunites with a pseudo-family of her past Russian agents that were planted in America with her back when she was younger, as she both flees from, I suppose, the international governments, but also tries to take down a villain from her past, because one of the few things we know about Black Widow's past is that she very much grew up in some place called the Red Room, and she thought she killed dude that was the leader, or the horrible asshole prick, disgusting fuckface motherfucker that was running the Red Room, but she didn't. And he's got a new Red Room floating up in the sky now, because gotta give it that upgrade, I guess. And so the plot is basically she needs to take it down. Where to begin? Performances. Scarlett Johansson did a good job. Her character is not the most, I suppose, emotional in the MCU, nor the most developed, but she's always been very good at portraying that kind of stoicness, I guess, or reticence to emote in the character, so I think she did a good job as usual. I'm gonna go with Pugh. I think the name is Pugh. Florence Pugh, to me, was the standout. I think she absolutely killed it as her kinda adopted, somewhat planted younger sister. Also, I do want to say, I think that Pugh and Johansson had good chemistry. I think that they worked very well on screen together, and that was also very enjoyable. David Harbour was alright. His performance is not the issue, although I will say that Red Guardian, I don't know what the fuck the point of having this guy was in the movie apart from being comic relief. Like, he was just a comedic element. I feel like someone out there knows that Red Guardian is a character that makes sense in the comic books, but in the movie they're just like, we need to have Red Guardian because he exists. What do we do with him? Let's just make him funny. and this is where I start saying things that I don't like saying. Rachel Weisz, I didn't really like her in this movie. We all remember her from her stunning and stellar performances, but in this, I don't know. Now, there's a twist concerning her character that I will not necessarily reveal. It's just that I think that maybe some of her performance choices were informed by the way the story was written, or the way the character was written. And so maybe that's why she tried to stay as, I suppose, emotionless as possible. I'm hoping. But ultimately it didn't work. And I felt like her performance fell very flat throughout the film. Not that I don't think she's talented. I think everyone is very talented. I just don't think that her performance necessarily shined. When it comes to the dialogue and all of the cinematography and directing that's related directly to character interactions, yes, that was good. There were some very emotional moments, especially between Pugh and Harbour. That worked quite well. The family dynamic, the family drama the aspect to it was kind of nice. And the Marvel jokes and the puns of, you know, one character making fun of another character for doing something, that was nice. That was some sweet little, cute little banter. Everything action, though, was trash. Like, just garbage. I have been complaining about the MCU's visual effects years now. Yes, sometimes they pull a Thanos, and shit is amazing to look at. But most of the time, the CG in these high-budget AAA MCU movies produced by the biggest friggin' media corporation in the world has to be better than what it is. I'm not blaming the CG artists themselves, the VFX artists themselves. I'm just saying, Disney needs to either invest more money or more time or more whatever. They need to invest themselves more into making these movies look better. The CG looked garbage. Like, all of the visual effects were shit. These explosions in the background, I would say it looked like an old TV show. Maybe that's pushing it a bit far. But what I will say is it did not look better than The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is a problem. Because this is the first feature-length film in the MCU's fourth phase, and it didn't look like a AAA theatrical release. It really did feel more like just a VOD, slap it on the Disney Plus release. Anyway, I'm rambling on, so let me just finish with something that I think everyone has already kind of expressed, but I need to say it myself. I am very disappointed Black Widow was not a Phase 1 movie. It should have been. Yes, there's the argument to be made that, you know, Scarlett Johansson deserved to be the first female, or like the hero of the first female-led MCU film. Yes, that's very true, but also I think just without even taking gender into account, Black Widow deserved her movie as an Avenger right off the bat. I just think that having Phase 1 being Iron Man, Hulk, Black Widow, Thor, Captain America would have worked a lot better than having two Iron Man movies in the same phase, especially considering the quality of Iron Man 2. It would have also enabled us to have a more interesting story for Black Widow, because they kind of were trapped in the way that they had to frame this. They had to set the film specifically in a place where, spoilers, Black Widow wasn't dead yet, but also wasn't so young that they could show us truly what happened to her in the Red Room. Because at this point, I kind of feel robbed of a big part of her story. I would have liked to see the origin story of Black Widow herself. Not that I'm disappointed with seeing, you know, the conclusion to that story, but we never really got the thick of it, I guess. Not only that, but there's also this very peculiar thing where, yes, Black Widow is already deceased at this point, so it kind of feels like a parenthesis to go back and explore this backstory, which wouldn't be so bad as kind of like a self-contained miniseries. It's like, oh, by the way, this is a story we could tell, but this being the first movie in Phase 4 feels really bizarre in the sense that you would expect Phase 4, the phase post-Endgame, the big finale to the Infinity Saga, you would expect things to kind of move forward, whereas we're just taking a step back and going back into Civil War times. It's real bizarre. I'm disappointed. That's it. That's the most I can say. I think it's a below average movie. Also, and I'm not going to spoil this, but there's a post-credit scene that you must watch. And I do think that what happens in the post-credit scene undercuts the entire story arc of a specific character, and it is so dumb and so disappointing. And they shouldn't have put that in there. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sorry to have disappointed you, and I'm sorry that I've been disappointed. See you next time. This song is